Well, let's start off The Guardian today. Here is the front page. The family of Bebe King, one of the victims of that horrific Southport attack last year, has criticised ministers for their plan to disclosing the ethnicity of serious crime suspects. Now, Michael Weston King, Bebe's grandfather, said that the ethnicity of any perpetrator is completely irrelevant. Mental health issues and the propensity to commit crime happens in any ethnicity, nationality or race. Lynn, pretty strong statement from the grandfather there of Bebe King.
Yeah, I do agree with what he's saying because, you know, there is crime and devastation that comes from every single community. But the only problem that we face when we don't let people know and update them with the ethnicity or, you know, the characteristics of a potential perpetrator is that certain other groups are massively targeted because, as we can see, there's a lot of tensions in the country, some of which are very negative and want to target specific groups, whether that be people from Muslim backgrounds or people from minority groups in general. So if we don't know who the perpetrator is, then they're always going to attack the ones who they want to assume, which will continue with this negative rhetoric against maybe Muslims, for example, or people that are brown, or people from the LGBT community, etc.
What do you reckon? I mean, the government have said, look, we're going to leave it up to the police. The police are thinking about it. It feels like no one's too sure whether this is the right thing to do, but perhaps the government's hand has been forced by what Lynn has been saying as well, that we live in an age now where you have to take into account that social media is going to get out there, spread misinformation, and before you know it, you've got people rioting in the street that perhaps, whether we like it or not, this is the way that we have to go in the future.
Yeah, well, I think there are a couple of cases where there might be reason to reveal the ethnicity, and that is if there is a risk to public safety, so you're trying to make people aware of the person that's on the loose, or it's an appeal, a witness appeal, so you're trying to get people to come forward and say, did you see this person? This is what they look like. Other than that, let's be honest, this is basically bowing to pressure put on the police and the government because of, let's be honest, people like Farage and his party, who love the idea of this potential to pin the blame on someone and potentially incite riots, as we've seen before. And so we have been forced into a position now where it's like we have to try and counter that, get ahead of it by going, oh no, it wasn't a Muslim, it wasn't this person, to try and stop potential unrest.
I mean, the grandfather did come forward and he has said that he urged the government to reconsider following in the footsteps of Nigel Farage and reform. I think he's used the word kowtowing to people like Farage. But again, I'll go back to my point, though. I mean, do either of you think that this isn't inevitable?
The thing that frustrates me, and I think, clearly I'm from an ethnic minority background, is I have no issues with us looking at certain people. If there is a pattern where certain people commit certain types of crimes based on various different backgrounds or whatever the case may be, fine. If someone needs to be said that someone is, you know, African male, who's a Muslim, who blah, blah, fine. Fair enough, but I need them to have the same energy with white individuals. We never see a white person saying he was a Catholic, a Welsh white individual who could have been the potential murderer in that area. It's imbalanced. So people from ethnic minorities like myself, OK, you want to be very clear that I'm a brown girl or I come from a Pakistani background on my mother's side or whatever, fine, but then do the same with everybody or don't do it at all. Also, my thing is equality with that. Absolutely,
and also on that, people, if you're going to talk about a group of people who are overrepresented in one area, for example, in prison, the context doesn't make sense, because then you could say, for example, within the NHS, immigrants are overrepresentative of the population. Yeah. So you could just as easily say, oh, well, immigrants are more likely to commit crime. They're also more likely to be our carers, our NHS people, etc. But it's never framed in that way. It's always framed in a way to punch down.
Well, look, Georgie, who's going to be sitting in for Storm, wants your thoughts on this. She'll be asking if police are right to reveal a suspect's ethnicity.